All right, let's talk about something that's super important in AI design, but honestly, it gets overlooked all the time. I'm talking about its tone of voice. Get this wrong, and it can totally wreck the user experience. So today, we're going to zero in on one of the most powerful tools in your toolkit, the formal tone. I mean, have you ever had this happen? You're trying to deal with something serious, right? Like a problem with your bank account or some major tech issue, and the AI on the other end just sounds wrong, like completely out of touch, maybe even a little jokey. It's so frustrating. Just look at the difference here. Response number one is, whoa, bummer, sketchy charge with an emoji. It's so jarring, right? That super casual slang completely tanks the seriousness of the moment. And this kind of disconnect, it isn't just a little annoying. No, it actually destroys trust. And it all boils down to one single strategic choice: tone. And that right there brings us to the heart of the matter, the AI tone problem. So here's the bottom line. When that tone doesn't line up with what the user needs or what the conversation is about, you've got a huge problem. It doesn't just make your brand look unprofessional, it makes the user start to think, wait a minute, is this thing even smart enough to help me? So, what's the answer? Well, especially when the stakes are high, the solution is a very deliberate, very powerful strategy: defining and using a formal tone. But hey, let's be super clear about this. Formal does not mean robotic. It's not about being stiff and cold. It's actually a carefully crafted persona. Think of it as a character that's designed to project authority, professionalism, and respect. The whole point is to make you, the user, feel secure and like you're in good hands. And this is what I find so cool, these little linguistic rules. They're not just about grammar. They have this huge psychological effect. Avoiding slang, saying do not instead of don't. These might seem like tiny little things, but they add up. What they're really doing is sending a signal to the user. They're saying, hey, this is serious. This is precise. We are taking you and your problems seriously. Okay, so how does all this actually help? Well, it all leads to building the most critical thing you can have: trust. For starters, it enhances authority. When an AI communicates with that kind of precision, you immediately see it as a serious tool, right? Almost like an expert in the field. And it's not just about sounding smart for the sake of it. It's about signaling, hey, I'm competent. I can handle your complex problem without messing it up. And that authority, it leads directly to more trust from the user. And trust is, it's the absolute foundation of any good AI interaction. Think about it. If you're handing over sensitive financial or personal info, you need to feel that sense of security that professionalism brings. It's non-negotiable. And then there's the huge practical win: clarity. Formal language, by its very nature, is precise. It cuts through the noise and gets rid of ambiguity. And when you're talking about important instructions or, a medical procedure or a legal thing, there is absolutely zero room for misunderstanding. It has to be crystal clear. Okay, so maybe you're on board, but you're probably thinking, how do I actually do this? Well, let's get into the playbook. First things first, a formal tone is an absolute must-have. In fact, it's pretty much expected in these kinds of high-stakes fields. We're talking legal, finance, healthcare, government. In these areas, accuracy and authority aren't just, nice bonuses. They're everything. The tone has to match the seriousness of what's happening. Now, making this happen, it's not magic. You can't just flip a switch. It's a real process. You've got to start by defining the AI's persona. Like, is it a legal advisor? A tech specialist? Then you build out your rulebook, your language guidelines, banning slang, and listing the right terms. After that, you actually engineer your prompts to guide the AI. And finally, and this is so important, you test and refine, using real feedback from users to get that balance just right. And for the modern generative AIs we're all using now, a lot of the magic really does happen in the prompt. This is where you lay down the law. You're explicitly defining the AI's personality. An instruction like this one here, it's basically the AI's constitution. It's the set of rules that guides every single thing it says. But there is a huge challenge here, a really common and kind of dangerous trap you have to watch out for when you're going for that formal tone. And here it is, the number one pitfall. The biggest risk is that your super professional, carefully built AI just ends up sounding cold, impersonal, robotic. It's that classic overcorrection, right? And listen, this can be just as bad as being too casual, because instead of losing trust because you sound goofy, you lose it because you sound like you don't care. It makes the user feel totally ignored and alone. Okay, so look at this, because this is the whole secret right here. The robotic response, it just dumps facts on you, completely ignoring the worried person on the other side. But the effective one, it does something really smart. It starts by acknowledging the user's feeling. I understand this process can seem complex. See that? Then it gives the information. This isn't about the AI having emotions. It's about it being emotionally aware. That little bit of validation shows empathy, but it doesn't break character. It stays formal. The magic formula is acknowledge first, then inform. It's that perfect balance of professionalism and respect. And honestly, that makes all the difference in the world. So, in the end, it really all boils down to this one question. Is your AI's voice earning you trust, or is it actually costing you credibility? Because here's the thing. An AI's tone is never an accident. It's a choice, a deliberate choice that defines your brand and shapes every single conversation. So, what choice are you going to make?